A billionaire CEO walked into a restaurant hoping to humiliate a black waitress. He bragged that she could never speak Chinese and placed a $300,000 bet in front of the entire crowd. But when she opened her mouth, the whole restaurant froze. No one imagined a waitress could change the tone of the night. The pride of a CEO and her own future with just one skill. The dinner rush had barely started when Maya Lewis tied her apron and stepped into the main dining area of Jade Harbor, a well-known Chinese fusion restaurant in San Francisco. At 27, Maya was used to working double shifts and handling difficult customers. But something in the air felt different tonight. The chatter was louder. The energy was sharp. And all the wait staff were talking about the same thing. A billionaire CEO was coming. Maya did not care much about billionaires, but she had heard the stories. Edward Grant, tech giant. Media favorite? Known for tipping big and insulting bigger. He had become a trending topic more than once for humiliating servers. Maya brushed it off. She only wanted to finish her shift and get home. Manager Victor rushed toward her. Maya, table 14. That is the CEO's table. Only you will serve him. He specifically requested our best staff. She paused. Requested or demanded? Victor sighed. He said he wants someone sharp and calm. You are both. Maya nodded even though her gut tightened. Table 14 sat near the front window. A perfect stage for a man who liked attention. She carried a jug of water, walked over, and found Edward Grant already seated with two business partners. All three wore expensive suits. Their voices carried across the room even before she reached them. Grant looked up at her. He had cold blue eyes and the type of smirk that made people brace themselves. You are the waitress tonight. Good. I hope you know the menu. Most staff here do not. Maya gave a polite smile. I know it well, sir. What can I get you to start? Grant leaned back in his seat. Before we start, I have a question. I heard this restaurant tries to hire people who speak many languages. Do you speak any? Yes, English and a little Spanish. Grant laughed loudly. His partners joined him. I was told the waitress here speaks Chinese, but clearly that is not you. Maya kept her posture steady. I never said I speak Chinese, sir. Grant tapped the table. Of course you do not. You are not the type. The room quieted slightly. Maya felt the sting, but she stayed calm. Grant enjoyed reactions. She would not give him one. He waved a hand dismissively. All right, take our order, and do not mess it up. Maya took the order with perfect focus, but Grant was not done. As she turned to leave, he raised his voice again. You know what? Let us make this interesting. I bet $300,000 that this waitress cannot say a full sentence in Chinese. $300,000. Anyone want to take that bet? His partners laughed again. Other customers turned their heads. The challenge hung in the air. Maya stopped walking. She set her notepad down slowly. She looked straight at him, her eyes calm, her voice steady. Sir, why are you making a bet about me? Grant grinned. Because watching people fail is entertaining, and I already know the outcome. Maya felt her heart pounding, but not from fear. From something else, something stronger. This man had no idea who he was talking to. She straightened her apron and looked him in the eye. I think you should save your money, sir. Grant leaned forward. Try me. Maya took a breath. Not to calm down, but to prepare. Tonight was not going to go the way the CEO expected. The kitchen doors swung closed behind Maya as she entered. But her mind stayed at table 14. She leaned against the counter for a moment. The laughter from Grant and his partners had reached almost every table. She could feel eyes on her each time she walked out. But she was not nervous. She was angry. Chef Lee glanced at her from the stove. You look troubled. Problem at table 14. Maya forced a smile. Nothing I cannot handle. Chef Lee raised an eyebrow. He is the billionaire, yes. The noisy one. The one who thinks he knows Chinese culture better than everyone. That is the one. Lee shook his head. Be careful. People like him enjoy stepping on others. Maya placed the order slip beside him and took a moment before returning to the dining area. She inhaled deeply and stepped out. She saw Grant waving her over again, tapping a fork against his glass. You are slow. I hope you serve better than you speak. Customers looked uncomfortable, but no one said a word. People rarely challenged wealth. Maya stopped at the edge of the table. I will bring your drinks now. Grant ignored her. No. We will finish our little test first. She kept her voice steady. It is not a test. You made a claim without asking anything. That is not fair, Grant chuckled. Life is not fair. If you want to prove something, say a sentence in Chinese. If not, I win the bet. His partners smirked. One of them whispered loud enough to be heard. She probably cannot even say hello. Grant nodded. True, but go ahead. Impress us. Maya lowered her gaze for 1 second. Not out of fear, but out of calculation. She had always kept her skills quiet. People assumed things about her just from her appearance. She had learned to let assumptions sit until the right moment came. That moment was now. She looked up, her expression calm. Sir, before I speak, I want to ask something. What will you say if I know the language better than you think? Grant laughed again. I will admit I was wrong, but that will not happen. Maya stepped slightly closer. A few customers leaned in to watch. She opened her mouth and spoke in a smooth, flawless tone. Grant froze. His partners blinked rapidly. The nearby tables fell silent. Every sound in the restaurant dimmed. Maya continued, her pronunciation crisp. Grant no longer smirked. His eyes narrowed. What did you say? Maya answered calmly. I said that I can speak Chinese fluently, and I learned it as a child. A woman at the next table whispered. She sounds native. Another customer nodded. Better than native. Grant leaned back, stunned. His voice tightened. You learned it as a child. How? Where? Maya kept her hands folded. I lived in a foster home run by a Chinese-American family. They taught Mandarin to every child who stayed there. I stayed long enough to learn. Grant hesitated, caught off balance for the first time all night. Maya continued. So the bet. You made one. What will you do now? Grant looked away for a moment. His confidence cracked but not broken. His pride would not let him admit defeat yet. He placed both hands on the table. Say something harder, something advanced. If you can, then maybe I will consider your little performance real. Maya's jaw tightened. You want more? Grant nodded. Show me something I have not heard. The crowd watched, waiting. Maya inhaled and delivered a full, complex sentence in formal Mandarin, her tone sharp and controlled. Grant blinked again. He had no response. His partners stared at her like they were seeing a different person. Maya stepped back from the table. Your drinks will be here shortly. This time, Grant did not laugh. When Maya walked away from table 14, the entire restaurant followed her with their eyes. Some watched in admiration, others in disbelief. A few pulled out their phones, whispering to each other about what they had just witnessed. Victor rushed toward her, whispering urgently. Maya, what did you just do? Did you really speak Mandarin? Yes, why? You spoke better than the teachers I had in college. Customers are asking who you are. Maya sighed. I am just a waitress trying to finish her shift. But the shift had already changed. Her calm voice and clean Mandarin had turned the restaurant into a stage. She returned to the bar counter where bartender Sam grinned at her. That was crazy. You should have warned me. I did not plan it. Sam nodded toward the CEO's table. Grant is red. And that man never gets red. Maya looked back. Grant sat stiff, tapping one finger on the table. His partners whispered to him, but he brushed them off with a sharp gesture. Sam spoke again. He looks like he wants round 2, I figured. Maya carried the drinks toward table 14. Customers along the way smiled at her. One elderly Chinese woman nodded in approval. You spoke very well, dear. Maya nodded gratefully. Thank you. She reached Grant's table and set down the drinks one by one. Grant watched her silently. His silence did not last. So, you know some Chinese. Fine. But that does not mean you understood what you said. Maya met his stare. I understood every word. Grant leaned forward. If you are that confident, prove it another way. Translate something for me. I can. He crossed his arms. Translate this. Timeless innovation builds unstoppable progress. Maya translated it instantly, her tone smooth and precise. Grant paused again, stunned for the second time tonight. His partners looked at him, waiting for his comeback. Grant struggled to regain control. Fine, maybe you rehearsed that. There is no proof you did not look it up earlier. Maya raised an eyebrow. Sir, you said it 5 seconds ago. Grant swallowed hard but refused to give up. His pride was a mountain he refused to climb down from. Instead, he smirked again, though it looked forced. Let us make things more interesting. If you can answer 3 cultural questions correctly, I will accept the loss. But if you fail even one, you admit you tried to trick me. Maya stared at him. I am not here to play games, but you are already in one. She tightened her grip on her tray. What are your questions? Grant smiled at last, believing he had found her weakness. His first question came fast. What is the meaning behind the Lunar New Year red envelopes? Maya answered without hesitation. They symbolize luck, blessings, and protection. They are given to share good fortune. Grant frowned but did not speak. Second question. What does the dragon represent in Chinese culture? Strength, prosperity, honor. Grant blinked. His confidence cracked again. Third question. If someone says they were born in the year of the tiger, what does that imply about their personality? Maya answered clearly. They are seen as brave, confident, and independent. Grant fell silent. His partners looked embarrassed. The nearby tables whispered in excitement. Maya stood with calm confidence. You lost your bet. Grant clenched his jaw. We will see about that. The challenge was far from over, and everyone in the restaurant knew the night had just begun. The restaurant's energy had shifted. Customers were whispering across tables. Servers peeked from behind the counter. And even the chefs in the kitchen could feel the tension every time the doors opened. All eyes kept sliding back to table 14. Grant had lost every round so far, but he did not look like a man ready to accept defeat. He sat stiff with his jaw clenched, tapping the edge of his glass with one finger. His pride had been bruised in front of dozens of strangers, and he had no intention of letting a waitress, especially one he had underestimated, walk away with the last word. When Maya approached again, carrying the appetizers, she noticed the change in him. His eyes had sharpened. His smile was thin, controlled, and dangerous. He waited until she set the plates down. Before you leave, I want to clear something up. Speaking a language is not the same as understanding the people. Maya frowned. I never claimed to speak for anyone but myself. Grant ignored her response. Since you seem to know so much about Chinese culture, let me ask deeper questions. Serious ones. She crossed her arms lightly. I am not playing your games, sir. I am working. You started this. No, you did. Grant gave a fake polite shrug. Fine, but if you walk away now, it means you cannot answer. Customers leaned closer from surrounding tables. Even Victor stopped pretending to organize menus and simply watched. Maya stood her ground. Ask your questions. Grant nodded slowly, proud of pulling her in again. Question 1. What is the significance of the Mid-Autumn Festival? Maya answered calmly. Family unity. Reunion. Hope. People give moon cakes as a symbol of completeness. Grant blinked once. Question 2. In traditional Chinese tea culture, what does tapping your fingers on the table mean when someone pours your tea? It is a gesture of gratitude, Maya replied. Based on the old story about the emperor traveling in disguise. Grant's lips tightened. That was not the answer he wanted. It was correct. He went for the final question. Question 3. What is the meaning of the phrase, Gong Shi Fakai? A couple at the next table smiled, knowing the answer. Maya gave it without delay. It means wishing someone prosperity. A light wave of applause rose from a few tables. Nothing loud, just enough to embarrass the CEO further. Grant put both hands on the table and leaned in. What I am hearing is simple answers from a textbook. Anyone can memorize these. Maya kept her voice steady. I lived with Mandarin speakers for years. Language and culture were part of my life, not a textbook. Grant did not like that answer. He sat back and exhaled slowly. His ego had taken multiple hits, but he still refused to back down. He turned to Victor, who had moved closer. Your staff is trying to embarrass me. Victor straightened. Sir, with respect, she is only answering your questions. Grant snapped. And you are letting your customers gang up on me. Victor stepped back. No one is ganging up on anyone. Grant scoffed and waved Maya away. Go bring the main course, and clean up that attitude while you are at it. Maya took a breath and walked toward the kitchen. She was shaking slightly. Not from fear, from frustration. She had dealt with rude customers before, but Grant felt different. There was something deeper behind the way he spoke to her, as if proving her wrong was personal. Chef Lee noticed her expression the moment she entered. What did he do now? Maya set the empty tray down harder than she meant to. He keeps pushing more and more tests. Lee sighed. You do not need to prove anything to a man like that. Maybe not, she said softly. But people are watching, and they think he can talk to anyone however he wants. Lee nodded. Then show them someone who will not bow. Maya straightened. I already did. When she stepped back into the dining area, dozens of eyes followed her again. But this time, the atmosphere felt different. People were rooting for her. And Grant knew it. By the time Maya returned with the main dishes, Grant had changed his posture. He sat quiet, not out of respect but out of calculation. His partners leaned in and whispered to him. But he brushed them off, staring straight ahead. Maya placed the plates carefully. Your food is ready? Grant did not thank her. He asked a question instead. How did you learn Mandarin so well? And do not give me a simple answer this time. Maya paused, unsure if she wanted to open that door. But his tone was different. Less mocking, more curious, almost demanding. She kept her voice neutral. I learned it when I lived in a foster home. Grant frowned. How old were you? 7. Grant stopped tapping his glass. His eyes narrowed slightly. Foster home. What happened? Maya hesitated. My birth parents died in a car crash when I was 7. I was placed in a temporary foster program. The first home I lived in was run by a couple who believed every child should learn Mandarin because they wanted to connect kids from different backgrounds. There was a brief silence at the table. Even his partners softened. Grant asked quietly, How long were you there? 3 years. Grant nodded slowly. His expression shifted. It was no longer amusement or arrogance. It was something closer to confusion, as if he was trying to fit her story into a box he had created about her but could not. So you learned from them? Yes, they treated me well. Grant leaned back. And then you left. Yes, I was moved again. And again. I had 5 foster homes before I turned 18. Customers nearby looked sympathetic. Maya did not like attention on her past, so she tried to step back. But Grant was not done. He spoke more quietly now, but still firm. I want to understand something. Why work here? With your language skills and your experience, you could do something better. She met his gaze. Because school was expensive. Life was expensive. I needed to support myself. I needed steady income. Grant folded his fingers together. You said you lived with Mandarin speakers, but you do not look like someone who would. Maya held her breath and then let it out. What someone looks like has nothing to do with what they can learn. For the first time since the evening began, Grant did not respond immediately. His partners shifted uncomfortably. Maya continued. You assumed I could not speak Chinese. You assumed I was lying. You assumed I was not capable because of how I look. Grant's lips tightened. Maya forced a small smile. But that is not your fault. People often make assumptions. They just do not like it when those assumptions are wrong. Grant lowered his eyes for a moment. His confidence flickered. Then he straightened again, posture stiff. You speak well. You know culture, but let us get to the real matter. You said you learned Chinese as a child. That means you should know a story or two. Something meaningful, something cultural, something deeper. Maya sighed quietly. You want another test? Grant nodded. Yes, tell me a Chinese story. One with a lesson. If you can tell it accurately, without mistakes, and in a way that shows real understanding, then I will finally accept that you are as good as you claim. Maya looked at him for a long moment. She could have walked away. She could have ignored him. She did not owe him anything. But something inside her said this was not just about him anymore. It was about everyone watching. It was about every server who had been insulted, every worker talked down to, every assumption made without reason. She pulled out a chair from a nearby empty table and sat down slowly. Customers leaned in. The entire room fell silent. All right, I will tell you a story. Grant nodded, waiting. This story is called The Cowherd and the Weaver Girl, and the room hung on her every word. Maya sat calmly, hands folded in her lap, the entire restaurant waiting for her voice. Grant leaned forward, pretending he was uninterested, but his eyes told the truth. He was listening harder than anyone. Maya began. The Cowherd and the Weaver Girl is one of the oldest love stories in Chinese culture. It is about a young man who works as a cowherd. He is simple, kind, and hardworking. One day he meets a heavenly weaver girl who comes down from the sky with her sisters. She weaves clouds. He falls in love with her. A few customers nodded, recognizing the tale. Grant frowned slightly, unsure where this was going. Maya continued. The Weaver girl falls in love with him too. Even though she is from the heavens and he is from earth, they decide to get married. They live happily and even have 2 children. But when the Queen Mother of Heaven finds out, she becomes angry. She thinks a heavenly daughter should not marry a human. Grant's partner whispered, I think I heard this story in school. Maya kept going, her voice smooth and steady. The Queen Mother separates them by drawing a line across the sky. A wide river of stars, what we call the Milky Way. The cowherd is on one side, the Weaver girl on the other. They cannot reach each other. The restaurant grew still. Even the sound of chopsticks slowed. But the magpies feel sorry for them. So once a year, they fly into the sky and form a bridge across the river, just so the couple can meet for one day. That day is now celebrated as the Qixi Festival, also known as the Chinese Valentine's Day. Maya paused. The room stayed silent. Then she added the lesson. The story teaches one thing. You can separate people. You can doubt them. You can put obstacles in their way. But real strength comes from staying true to what you are, even when others think you do not belong. Her eyes shifted to Grant for the first time since she started the story. And sometimes, the people others look down on end up showing the most heart. Grant blinked slowly. His partners stared at Maya with newfound respect. The customers around them began clapping softly, then louder. People smiled at her. Some nodded with appreciation. Grant did not smile. His expression was unreadable. Maya stood from the chair. That is the story, sir. And every part of it is accurate. Grant stared at her for a moment, trying to find a flaw. But he couldn't. Instead, he asked in a low voice, Why did you choose that story? Maya answered simply, Because you tried to place a line between who you think I am and what I can do, just like in the story. But lines do not decide a person's worth. Grant looked away, irritated but shaken. Customers murmured in agreement. The story had touched them in ways the CEO had not expected. Maya picked up her tray. Your food is getting cold. Enjoy your meal. This time, Grant did not stop her. He did not laugh. He did not mock. He just watched her walk away, his confidence melting into something else. Something unfamiliar. Respect. Grant kept his eyes on Maya as she moved through the restaurant. It was clear something inside him had shifted. But instead of softening, he hardened again. His ego would not allow him to lose. Not publicly. Not to someone he underestimated. His partner leaned in and whispered, Let it go. She won. Grant clenched his jaw. No, not yet. He lifted his hand and called out loudly, Waitress! Come here! The loudness made every customer jump. Maya turned slowly and approached, calm as ever. Yes, sir. Grant took a deep breath. I want one last test. The final one. Maya shook her head. You have asked enough questions. You said you worked in 5 foster homes. Did any of them teach you discipline? Did they teach you responsibility? Maya stiffened. The comment hit deeper than the language insults. She kept her voice controlled. Those homes taught me survival and respect. Grant's voice grew sharper. Respect. Good. Then show some. You want to prove your intelligence? Fine. Translate something difficult. Something you could not prepare. He pulled out his phone and opened an article. He scrolled until he found a passage. His partner whispered urgently, Edward, stop. This is too much. Grant ignored him. He read the paragraph aloud in English. Recent technological advances have accelerated global cooperation, but they also increased the responsibility of leadership. Those who hold power must act with fairness, humility, and awareness. He handed the phone to Maya. Translate that, right now, word for word, in Mandarin, and if even one word is wrong, you admit you exaggerated your skills. The room gasped. Victor whispered from a distance, That is not fair. Maya stood still. She could walk away. She could refuse. But she saw the looks around her. The staff who had been insulted by customers like Grant. The workers who were never respected. The people he humiliated for entertainment. Her silence might mean nothing would change. So she nodded. All right, I will translate it. Grant crossed his arms. Go ahead. Maya inhaled, steady and focused. Then she translated the entire passage into smooth, formal Mandarin without a single stutter. Her pronunciation crisp, her tone professional, her confidence unshaken. The restaurant erupted. Customers clapped. Some stood. The elderly Chinese woman who had praised her earlier wiped tears from her eyes. Grant's face lost all color. He looked like the floor had opened beneath him. Maya handed him the phone back. "There is your answer." Grant did not speak. His partners stared at him, their embarrassment clear. Maya continued. "Now I have a question for you." "A simple one." Grant looked up slowly. "What?" "If a waitress you underestimated, insulted, and mocked can speak Chinese better than you expected, know culture better than you expected, and hold herself together better than you expected, then what does that say about your judgment?" Grant opened his mouth, but no words came out. Maya answered for him. "It means your assumptions were wrong." Customers nodded. Some said yes under their breath. Grant closed his eyes for a moment, humiliated in a way he had never experienced. His arrogance had dragged him into a corner, and now there was no way out except honesty. The breaking point had arrived. He looked around the restaurant. Every face watched him. He looked back at Maya, and for the first time that night he lowered his voice. "I was wrong." The restaurant fell silent when Grant finally spoke. His voice was not loud this time, not arrogant, not mocking. It was quiet, almost shaky. "I was wrong." Customers exchanged looks. Some nodded slowly. Others waited to see what would happen next. Maya stood still, unsure if this was another trick or if this man had truly reached his limit. Grant lowered his eyes. "I judged you by how you looked. I assumed you were not educated. I assumed you could not speak another language. I assumed you had nothing to offer." He paused, his voice softened. "But tonight, you proved you are more capable than I ever imagined." Maya listened, arms folded lightly, maintaining her calm. Grant looked around the restaurant. "And I embarrassed myself in front of my own staff, my partners, and everyone here." His partners shifted, relieved that he was finally facing reality. Grant turned back to Maya. "You have more dignity in one shift than many. People have in their lives. I treated you like someone beneath me. That was wrong." Maya nodded slowly. "Thank you for acknowledging that." Grant swallowed hard. "The bet still stands. You won." The customers around the room leaned in. Grant took a deep breath. $300,000. You earned it." Maya blinked. "I do not want your money. I never asked for a bet." Grant shook his head. "No, it is the principle. I bet because I thought I would humiliate you. Instead, I humiliated myself." He opened his wallet and placed a black signature card on the table. "I will contact my finance office tomorrow morning. You will receive the amount legally, clean and proper. You deserve it." Maya took a step back. "Sir, I appreciate the gesture, but I do not want you to feel forced. This is not force. This is responsibility." A soft applause started at one of the tables. Soon it spread. Not loud, not dramatic. Just respectful and warm. Maya nodded. "If that is what you want to do, I accept." Grant stood from his chair slowly. "I'm sorry for everything I said to you. Truly." Maya held his gaze. Apology accepted. For a moment, the restaurant felt lighter, as if someone had opened a window and let fresh air in. Grant sat back down. His posture was tired, but honest. It was the first real moment of humility he had shown all night. After the applause faded and the restaurant settled again, Grant motioned to Maya. "If you are willing, sit for a moment. I want to ask something important." Victor watched from the corner, ready to intervene if needed. But Maya nodded and pulled up a chair again, keeping a respectful distance. Grant leaned forward, but the sharpness in his behavior was gone. "You said earlier that you worked 5 foster homes, that you had to fight for everything you achieved, that you spoke Mandarin because someone cared enough to teach you. You have survived more than people in my circle ever had to." Maya stayed quiet, listening. Grant continued. "I am not proud of how I treated you, but I want to fix something, not just by giving you money." He paused. "What are your goals? What do you want to do? Because someone with your skill should not be stuck here waiting tables, unless she wants to be." Maya wondered if this was another trap, but his tone was sincere. "I want to go to school," she said. "I want to study linguistics, maybe translation. But I cannot afford tuition, not yet." Grant nodded. "Then let me help. Not out of pity, out of respect." Maya shook her head lightly. "I do not want charity." "This is not charity," Grant replied. "This is an investment in someone who clearly has potential." The old Chinese woman nearby smiled proudly at Maya. Sam, the bartender, nodded from behind the counter. Even Chef Lee peeked through the kitchen window. Grant added, "You do not owe me anything. You do not have to work for me. I just want to make sure people like you get opportunities. I have the resources to do that." Maya stared at him, unsure how to respond. Grant spoke again, his voice calm. "The world needs more people who can connect cultures. You already do that better than most professionals I know." She exhaled slowly. "If you help, what do you expect in return?" Grant smiled slightly. "Only that you make a career that reflects your talent." Maya nodded. "I can agree to that." They shook hands. Small, simple, mutual. Victor finally stepped closer and smiled. "Looks like we witnessed something important tonight." Customers agreed quietly. Grant finished his meal without another complaint. His partners behaved politely. The room relaxed. Conversations returned. Laughter returned. The tension dissolved. But everyone knew something had changed. Maya walked back toward the counter. Sam whispered, "You handled that like a champion." She shrugged with a smile. "It was just another shift." Sam laughed. "No, tonight was history." The night wound down. Most customers had left. The chairs were being turned upside down. The lights dimmed. The soft music echoed through the empty restaurant. Victor approached Maya. "You did an incredible job." "I just did what felt right," she replied. "No," Victor corrected. "You stood up for yourself, for everyone who has ever been underestimated." Maya smiled softly. "Thank you." As she untied her apron and placed it on the counter, the front door opened again. Grant walked in with a folder in his hand. Victor straightened. "Sir, we are closed." Grant nodded. "I know. I just needed to hand Maya something before I leave town." He approached her slowly and handed her the folder. "This contains the official paperwork for the $300,000 payment. It also includes information about a scholarship fund. I want to start under your name if you agree. A program for students from foster backgrounds who show interest in languages." Maya stared at him, shocked. "A scholarship fund? Under my name?" "Yes," he said, "because your story might inspire more people than you think." She held the folder tightly. "Thank you. I will think about it." Grant nodded. "That is all I ask." He started to walk out, then stopped at the door. "One more thing. Keep speaking Mandarin. Do not hide it. The world needs to hear voices like yours." Maya nodded. "I will." Grant left. The door closed softly behind him. Sam stepped next to her. "So, what now?" Maya looked at the folder, at the empty tables, at the quiet restaurant that had been a battleground just hours earlier. "I think this is the start of something new." She stepped outside. The night air was cool. The city lights reflected on the sidewalk. Cars passed. People walked by. Life moved normally. But her life had changed. She took a deep breath and whispered in Mandarin, "Tomorrow will be better." Then she walked down the street, calm, steady, confident. Her story had begun with a bet meant to embarrass her. Instead, it became the night she discovered her strength, earned the respect of a powerful man, and opened doors she never imagined. It became the night a black waitress proved to an entire room that talent has no color, intelligence has no boundary, and dignity always rises above arrogance. The night she turned the table.